My wife married me because I was safe. So I served her divorce papers at her office in front of everyone. My wife shamelessly said she only married me for stability and still loved her ex, so I filed for divorce. But what happened after shattered her world. I, a 34-year-old male, have been married to Jade, a 32-year-old female for 5 years. We met at a barbecue 7 years ago through some mutual friends. She was smart, funny, gorgeous, and we just clicked immediately. Like when Jim finally got with Pam, except apparently I was more like Roy and didn't know it yet. The dating phase was perfect. 2 solid years of what I thought was genuine connection. We traveled together, talked about everything, and had the same goals. When I proposed, she said yes, without hesitation. Our wedding was exactly what we both wanted. Just family and friends celebrating what I thought was the real deal. The first few years of marriage were honestly great. We bought this nice house in the suburbs with my name on the deed. Thank God. Both our careers were taking off, and we were talking seriously about starting a family. I'm talking paint samples for the nursery level of seriousness. We had our routines down. I'd handle the lawn and grilling duties. She'd manage the interior decorating and meal planning. It actually worked for us. But then around 8 months ago, things started feeling off. Jade started getting distant in ways that were hard to pinpoint at first. She was always on her phone now, but not in an obvious way. More like she'd get a text, and her whole face would light up. Then she'd quickly put the phone away when I walked in. She'd be scrolling through social media and suddenly close apps when I sat next to her on the couch. During conversations, I could tell her mind was somewhere else. I'd be talking about work or weekend plans, and she'd just nod along. But her eyes had this faraway look. The physical stuff started cooling off, too. We went from being pretty active in that department to maybe once every couple of weeks, and even then, it felt like she was going through the motions. I'd try to initiate, and she'd have a headache, be too tired, or just not in the mood. When we did have sex, it was different. Like she was physically there, but mentally checked out. I tried bringing it up a few times, asking if everything was okay, if work was stressing her out. She'd brush me off every time, saying she was just dealing with some project deadlines or office drama. I believed her at first because her job in marketing could be pretty demanding, but the distance kept growing, and I started feeling like I was living with a roommate who occasionally shared a bed with me. The worst part was how normal she acted in public. When we'd go out with friends or family, she'd be the same charming, funny Jade everyone loved. She'd hold my hand, laugh my jokes, and play the perfect wife role. But the second we got home, it was like a switch flipped, and she'd retreat back into this distant version of herself. What I didn't know at the time was that Jade had been getting advice from her best friend, Skylar. This toxic single woman who seemed to think marriage was some kind of prison sentence. Skylar was one of those people who always had drama in her life and couldn't stand seeing other people happy. She'd been filling Jade's head with ideas about living her best life. Then one evening, completely out of nowhere, Jade suggested we try couples therapy. She said she'd been thinking about our relationship and felt like we weren't connecting the way we used to. She wanted to explore our communication patterns and work on our emotional intimacy. I was actually relieved. Finally, she was acknowledging that something was wrong and wanted to fix it. I thought this was Jade taking initiative to save our marriage. So, Jade found this therapist, Dr. Linda, who specialized in couples work. Her office was in one of those professional buildings where every door has some kind of therapy practice. We're here to fix broken people vibes, which should have been my first clue. Our first session was awkward as hell, sitting on this beige couch across from a woman with a notepad, explaining why your marriage needs work to a complete stranger. Dr. Linda was professional though. Mid-50s calm energy didn't make us feel like total failures for being there. She started with the basics. How long have you been together? What attracted you to each other initially? When did you first notice problems? Standard relationship inventory stuff. Jade seemed nervous, but was participating, which I took as a good sign. What I didn't realize was that Jade had been coaching sessions with Skylar beforehand. Skylar had convinced her that therapy was the safe space where she could finally be honest about her true feelings without consequences. She kept telling her that she deserved to be authentically herself and shouldn't have to hide her emotions for anyone. The second session focused on communication patterns. Dr. Linda had us do these exercises where we'd mirror back what the other person said to make sure we were actually listening. Sounds simple, but it was eye-opening how often we were completely missing each other's points. I learned that when Jade said she was fine, she definitely wasn't fine. She learned that when I got quiet, I wasn't angry. I was trying to process. Session 3 was about work-life balance and external stressors. We talked about job pressures, family expectations, financial goals, normal married couple stuff. Jade opened up a bit about feeling overwhelmed at work, and I shared my concerns about us growing apart. It felt like progress. I actually started thinking therapy might work. We were communicating better at home, making more effort to spend quality time together. Jade seemed more present during conversations, and some of the physical intimacy was coming back. Not completely, but enough that I thought we were heading in the right direction. Dr. Linda kept pushing us to be more honest about our feelings and expectations. She'd say things like, "Honesty is the foundation of intimacy, and you can't build a real connection on partial truths." At the time, I thought she was talking about better communication and being more open about daily frustrations. I had no idea she was loading the gun that Jade was about to use to shoot our marriage in the face. Meanwhile, Jade was reporting back to Skylar after every session. Skylar kept encouraging her to dig deeper and really examine whether she was happy. She'd say things like, "You only get one life and you shouldn't have to compromise your authentic self for anyone." The fourth session started like all the others. Dr. Linda wanted to dig deeper into our relationship history, specifically how our past experiences might be affecting our current marriage. Seemed reasonable enough. She asked about previous relationships and how they ended. I talked about a couple of serious girlfriends from college in my early 20s. How those breakups taught me what I wanted in a long-term partner. Pretty standard stuff. Then she turned to Jade. I could see Jade take a deep breath, like she was preparing for something, like she'd been waiting for this moment. That's when everything went to hell. She started telling the therapist about Jared, her college boyfriend. They dated for 3 years during school and broke up when he moved across the country for some job opportunity. But the way she described him, Jesus, she talked about him like he was some kind of mythical figure. "Jared was my first real love," she said, her voice getting softer. "The relationship that taught me what true connection meant, what it felt like to be completely consumed by someone." Already, I'm feeling uncomfortable. I mean, we talked about our exes before, but never like this. And the way she was describing Jared made it sound like he was some life-changing experience while I was sitting right there like chopped liver. Dr. Linda asked how that relationship ending affected her. Standard therapy question. What happened next will haunt me for the rest of my life. Jade looked directly at me. Not down at her hands, not at the therapist, but straight at me and said, "I think about him every day." The room went dead silent. I'm sitting there thinking she misspoke or I misheard. But then she kept going and her voice got stronger, more confident. "I married David because he's stable and kind and would be a good father. But I never got over Jared. I thought I could love David the way I love Jared, but I can't. It's not the same kind of love." I swear time stopped. You know that scene in movies where everything goes quiet and the camera zooms in on someone's face? That was my life in that moment. "So, you're saying you settled for me?" I asked. My voice sounded like it was coming from underwater. "I'm saying I love you, but not the way I should, not the way you deserve to be loved. You're safe and reliable, and I thought that would be enough. But Jared was passion. Jared was everything you're not. Game over. Marriage terminated. Life as I knew it officially ended." Dr. Linda tried to jump in with some therapy speak about honesty being the first step toward healing, but I wasn't hearing any of it. My wife had just told me that our entire marriage was built on a lie. That for 5 years, while I thought we were building a life together, she was thinking about another man every single day. Every anniversary, every vacation, every time we talked about our future kids, she was comparing me to someone else and finding me lacking. Every time we were intimate, every time she said she loved me, every time she smiled at me across the dinner table, she was wishing I was someone else. I stood up and walked out without saying another word. Jade called after me, but I kept walking, got in my car, and just drove around for 3 hours trying to process what had just happened. When I finally went home, Jade was waiting in the living room with this weird expression on her face. Not guilty, not apologetic, almost relieved, like she'd finally gotten some huge weight off her chest. She tried to explain herself, saying the therapist had encouraged complete honesty and that admitting the truth was supposed to help us work through our problems. She said she felt liberated by finally being authentic about her feelings. "I do love you, David. Just differently than I love Jared. Maybe we can figure out how to build something real from here now that everything's out in the open." I told her there was nothing to figure out. If she'd been thinking about another man every day of our marriage, she'd been emotionally cheating on me for 5 years. I deserved to be with someone who chose me first, not someone who settled for me because I was the safe option. That's when Jade got defensive. Really defensive. "You're being dramatic and sensitive," she said. "Lots of people marry someone different from their first love. That's called being mature and practical. I chose you for good reasons." "Good reasons?" I asked. "Like what? My credit score? Don't be ridiculous. I chose you because you're stable and you'd be a good provider and father. That matters more than some juvenile obsession with passion." The entitlement in her voice was unbelievable. She was talking about marrying me like it was some kind of business decision, and I should be grateful she'd made the practical choice. That weekend, I called my brother Sean and told him everything. Sean's 3 years older than me and has zero filter when it comes to calling out stupidity. "Wait, let me get this straight. he said. She suggested therapy, so she could officially tell you that you're her participation trophy husband. Pretty much. And she thought I'd be cool with that apparently. Bro, your wife might actually be insane. Like, clinically insane. Leave it to Sean to sum up the situation perfectly, but I wasn't done getting kicked in the teeth yet because Jade's grand plan was just getting started. After Jade's therapy confession, I knew exactly what I needed to do. While she was at work the next Monday, I called a divorce attorney and got the ball rolling. Virginia is a no-fault state, so I didn't have to prove anything beyond irreconcilable differences. Since we didn't have kids, and the house was in my name only, the attorney said it should be pretty straightforward. Jade had been acting like her authentic confession was some kind of breakthrough that would bring us closer together. She kept trying to have these deep conversations about our new foundation of honesty and how we could build something real now. Meanwhile, I was planning to blow up her entire world. The papers were ready by Thursday. I had them served to her at work right in the middle of her weekly team meeting. Figured if she wanted to be dramatic, I'd give her some real drama to work with. I was at my brother Sean's place when she called. I could hear her screaming through the phone from across the room. What the hell is this, David? Divorce papers, I said calmly. I thought that was pretty obvious. You can't just divorce me. We're in therapy. We're working on things. No, Jade. You confess to thinking about another man every day of our marriage. There's nothing to work on. She completely lost it. Started crying hysterically about how I was being rash and not giving the process a chance. She said therapy was supposed to help us work through difficult emotions, not end our marriage. I was being honest, like the therapist said. You can't punish me for being honest. She thought admitting she settled for me was some kind of gift I should be grateful for. Sean grabbed the phone. Hey, Jade, it's Sean. Quick question. Are you actually surprised that telling your husband he's your second choice didn't go over well? Don't interfere between us. This is between me and David. Not anymore. It's not. You just got served, sweetheart. Maybe next time. And don't suggest therapy as a way to confess you're not actually in love with your husband. I took the phone back. Jade was sobbing now, saying she couldn't believe I would do this to her without warning. You didn't warn me that our entire marriage was a lie. I said, fair's fair. But the real fun was just getting started. See, the house was mine. I bought it before we got married and never added her name to the deed. So, along with the divorce papers, I also served her with a 30-day eviction notice. When she got home that night, she was a complete wreck. Mascara everywhere, hair all messed up. You can't kick me out of my house. It's not your house, Jay. Check the deed. She started ranting about how cruel I was being, how she had nowhere to go, how I was destroying her life. That's when I dropped the next bomb. Oh, and Sean's going to be staying here for the next month. Sean had been going through his own stuff. His lease was up and he was between apartments. Perfect timing. Are you freaking kidding me? You're bringing your brother to what? Humiliate me? Nah. Sean chimed in, carrying his bags through the front door. I'm just here for the entertainment value. This is better than cable. The look on Jade's face was priceless. She'd gone from thinking she was in control of the situation to realizing she was completely screwed in about 24 hours. Jade tried calling her parents, but they lived in Florida and couldn't help much. She tried calling some friends, but most of them were mutual friends who were pretty shocked by the whole situation. The only person who was fully supportive was Skylar, her best friend who'd encouraged this whole therapy confession in the first place. Skylar kept telling Jade that I was being emotionally abusive and that she deserved better, which was rich considering Jade had just admitted to emotionally cheating on me for 5 years. The next few weeks were tense as hell. Jade would stomp around the house, slamming doors, and having loud phone conversations with Skylar about what a terrible person I was. Sean found the whole thing hilarious. It's like watching a reality show, he said one morning while Jade was having a meltdown in the kitchen, except the main character is completely delusional. She keeps acting like I'm the bad guy, I said. Bro, she basically told you that you're the human equivalent of a participation trophy and then got mad when you didn't want to display it proudly on your shelf. That's my brother. Always knows exactly how to put things in perspective. But the real entertainment came about 2 weeks into Jade's eviction countdown. I came home from work to find Skylar sitting in my living room, like she owned the place. She was sprawled across my couch drinking what looked like my beer, giving me the smug look like she was about to drop some wisdom on me. We need to talk, Skylar announced before I'd even put my keys down. No, we don't, I said. And you need to leave. David, you're being completely unreasonable about this whole situation. Jade made one mistake in therapy, and you're destroying her entire life over it. I looked around for Jade, but she was nowhere to be seen. Probably hiding upstairs while she sent her attack dog to fight her battles. One mistake? I asked. She admitted to thinking about another man every day of our marriage. So what? Everyone has fantasies. That doesn't mean anything. Sean walked in from the kitchen at that moment, took one look at Skylar and grinned. Oh, this should be good. Let me guess. You're here to explain why David should be grateful his wife settled for him. I'm here to tell him he's being a vindictive, Skylar shot back. Jade was being honest about her feelings, and instead of working through it like an adult, he's throwing her out on the street. Working through it, I said. She told me I was a consolation prize. What exactly am I supposed to work through? How to be okay with being someone's backup plan? Oh, boo-hoo, Skylar said, rolling her eyes. So, your ego got bruised. That's what marriage is, compromise and accepting that you're not perfect. Sean sat down across from her. Lady, I got to ask, are you actually this stupid or is this some kind of performance art? Excuse me? I mean, you convinced your friend to blow up her marriage by confessing she never loved her husband, and now you're here trying to convince him he should be cool with it. It's like watching someone try to sell fire insurance to a house that's already burned down. Skylar turned red. Jade does love David. Just because it's not some fairy tale romance doesn't mean it's not real. You're right. I said it's not a fairy tale. It's not even a participation trophy. It's more like a tax write-off. Something you keep around because it's useful. That's not fair. What's not fair? Sean chimed in. Is your friend wasting 5 years of my brother's life while she fantasized about someone else? What's not fair is her suggesting therapy as a way to drop that bomb on him. And you're sitting in his house drinking his beer, trying to make him feel bad for having self-respect. Skylar stood up, clearly getting more agitated. Jade is going through a really hard time right now. She's losing her husband, her house, everything. The least you could do is show some compassion. Compassion? I laughed. Where was her compassion when she was comparing me to her ex every day for 5 years? She wasn't trying to humiliate you. She was trying to be honest. Skylar, I said, standing up and walking toward the door. Get out of my house. What? You heard me. Get out now. You can't kick me out. I'm Jade's friend. This is my house. I can kick out whoever I want, and right now I want you out. Sean was cracking up. Oh man, this is beautiful. Just then, Jade came running downstairs, probably having heard the whole conversation. What's going on? She demanded. I'm kicking your friend out, I said simply. You can't do that. You can't kick out my friends. Watch me, I said, opening the front door. Skylar, you have 30 seconds to get out before I call the cops for trespassing. Skylar looked between me and Jade, clearly expecting Jade to do something. But what could Jade do? It was my house and she was already being evicted. This is insane, Skylar shouted as she grabbed her purse. Jade, you don't have to put up with this abuse. Abuse? Sean said. Lady, you're sitting in a divorced man's house telling him he should be grateful his wife never loved him. If anyone's being abused here, it's our eardrums. Skylar stormed out, but not before turning back to shout. Jade, call me. We'll figure this out. After the door slammed, Jade turned on me. That was completely unnecessary. Skylar was just trying to help. You're both horrible, Jade shouted before stomping back upstairs. Sean looked at me and grinned. Bro, I haven't had this much fun since college. Your ex-wife and her friend are like a comedy duo, except they don't know they're the joke. But Jade wasn't done with her surprises yet, because apparently admitting she never loved me wasn't enough. She had one more grenade to throw. About 2 weeks into our lovely post-divorce papers living situation, Jade started acting different again. Not devastated different like she'd been since I served her, but more like excited different. She was back to being glued to her phone, but now she was being extra sneaky about it. Taking calls outside, texting in the bathroom, that kind of thing. Sean and I both noticed it. Your wife's definitely up to something, Sean said one evening while we were grilling burgers in the backyard. Jade was inside, having what sounded like a very animated phone conversation. Ex-wife, I corrected. And yeah, probably calling Jared, the legendary college boyfriend who ruined her for all other men. That's the one. Want me to find out what she's up to? Sean used to do some private investigation work before he got into construction. Old habits die hard. Nah, I don't care what she does. She's got 2 weeks left here, and then she's not my problem anymore. But Sean was curious. And when Sean gets curious, things get interesting. Sure enough, a few days later, Jade announced she was going to visit her college friend Emma for the weekend. Except Jade looked way too excited for a casual friend visit. She spent 2 hours getting ready, packed like she was going on a romantic getaway, and was practically bouncing with excitement when she left. Emma lives 3 hours away, Sean said, watching from the window as Jade loaded her car. Wanna bet she's not going to see Emma? I'm sure she's not, but again, not my problem. Come on, man. Aren't you at least curious about the guy who's apparently so amazing that he ruined your wife for marriage? I was curious, but I was also trying to move on with my life. Sean had no such restraint. He followed her, kept a good distance, used his old Ninja Turtle skills to tail her without being noticed, and guess what? She didn't drive 3 hours to see Emma. She drove 40 minutes to a hotel outside Richmond, and Jared was waiting for her in the parking lot. Sean called me from his car. Dude, you're not going to believe this. She's here with him. They just went into the hotel together. Are you serious? Dead serious. Sean got video of them walking into the hotel together. Jade looked happier than I'd seen her in months. They stayed for about 3 hours. This is gold, Sean said when he got back. Your ex-wife just committed adultery with a married man, and I got it all on video. Well, at least now I know she's capable of making Jared her first choice for something. Too bad it's just a Tuesday afternoon hotel visit instead of a lifetime commitment. Maybe not for your divorce, but I bet Jared's wife would be interested in seeing this. That's when I realized what Sean was suggesting. Jared's wife had no idea her husband was cheating. She was probably at home with their kid, thinking everything was fine while her husband was hooking up with his ex-girlfriend at some hotel. That woman deserves to know, I said. Damn right she does. Finding Jared's wife on social media wasn't hard. Small town guy, public Facebook profile, plenty of family photos. Her name was Jennifer, and she looked like a genuinely nice person, lots of pictures with their daughter, posts about family activities, the kind of life Jade had been trying to destroy. Sean sent Jennifer a message explaining who we were and that we had information about her husband that she needed to see. We included the video along with an explanation of how Jade had been pursuing Jared and using our divorce as an opportunity to reconnect with him. Jennifer's response came 2 hours later. Thank you for telling me. I'm so sorry your wife put you through this. Jared has been acting strange lately, and now I know why. Within 24 hours, Jared's world started falling apart. Jennifer confronted him with the video and he apparently broke down and confessed everything. She kicked him out of the house and called a divorce attorney. Jared then called Jade in a complete panic. I could hear her side of the conversation from downstairs. What do you mean she knows? How does she know? Long pause. But you said you loved me. You said you'd been thinking about me. Another pause. Don't you dare blame this on me. You came to the hotel willingly. And that's when I realized Jared had been playing Jade the whole time. He'd probably been curious about his ex-girlfriend. Maybe wanted to see if the old feelings were still there. But when it came to actually leaving his wife and kid, not a chance. Jade came downstairs looking absolutely destroyed. Jared says, "It's over," she said to me like I was supposed to care. His wife filed for divorce, and she's taking their daughter. Good for her, I said. Good for her, David. This is all falling apart. None of this was supposed to happen. What exactly did you think was going to happen, Jade? She started crying again. I thought if Jared and I reconnected, it would prove that what we had was real, and then maybe I could figure out how to be happy. By destroying 2 marriages? Sean looked up from his laptop. Jade, sweetheart,